Hey folks, this is actually take two. My previous recording session ended after 32 seconds because I had a Word document that actually recorded took notes of the session on. And when I opened that up, it overran the camera, which apparently just turned the camera off. So anyway, happy Easter. And we got to play Elderath, which is our Runequest III engined high fantasy game in which I am Westland, one of the players. Fire magic user, okay? That's my intent. Anyway, so we're in Elderath, that's the name of the world. It is Zar, which is the 5th month of the year. We're in week 2 of that month, and it is well the 7th day when we get to Hamlet. Okay, the new priest is here. The wandering bishop, Robert Burton, had arrived previously to install a new priest and was surprised that Raymond wasn't here to greet him. He then went on down to Kirk. He met with both the village council and with Rufus and Burns before he departed. When we get to town, sorry, I'm shaking the table. When we get to town, we find that a couple of gypsies are missing. They're just laborers. One day they just didn't show up for work, and they weren't in their tents. Nobody knows anything. All of their belongings are still there. We also find out that Robert Burton reported to the council here that on the road south there were several wagons that were destroyed alongside the road. None of the livestock were there. No people or bodies. Obviously, sign of conflict. They think it was probably goblins. Okay, so we go ahead and head over to the gypsy camp and talk with them. We think we've got a better relationship with them than the sheriff may have, and we bring drinks with us, right? And so while Raymond's talking with the adults, I'm playing with some magic with the kids, and I catch an offhanded comment from one of the boys talking to one of his friends that these missing gypsy guys, his dad thinks they were lazy. They spent way too much time fishing. That guy who died. But we don't really get anything else out of that meeting. We head back to the inn. Raymond is really suspicious about heading to the church at night. Since the last time that happened, he took a crossbow bolt to the head. So he spends the night with us at the inn. Next morning, we get up, eat, head over to the church so he can take care of his responsibilities there, reporting to the priest, that kind of stuff, and just take care of business there. So we're north of the river. We follow the road over to the mill where the pond is. Oh, which reminds me, the life plays in the description. Most of it's the Roll20 dice rolling thing, but I do throw up the map there on occasion where we're using stuff. So the first map that's up is actually the Roll20 map, which is the village of Hamlet. But I'll throw up the map of the area on occasion as we're discussing things. If you're into watching that kind of thing. Which, if you're like me, you don't have a lot of time, so I listen to it on double speed. Yeah, people talk kind of fast when that happens, but you get the gist of what's happening. You can see things going on. Okay, so anyway, we stop by the church. Okay, we head for the fishing hole. Wes thinks that there may be something about the fishing hole, like a monster or a lizard man or a water weird or something that's here pulling people in. So he's looking for like a hole or a cave or something underneath the water in the ledge, and so he's down there checking stuff out. The water's pretty clear here, but we don't find anything. We do find out though, or had heard that these two guys that went missing the day after Bishop Burton arrived. So now that I think about it, it could be these two guys were spies. And so after Burton arrived, they took off to go tell whoever they talked to about things, which ties in even more with the previous. No, that was a priest, not a bishop. All right. Well, anyway, so wheels within wheels. Okay. The next morning, we get up, eat. Oh, we set up for getting provisions from the inn and. Prep up our gear, spend some stuff. Raymond and I have these scrolls that we're studying, hoping to be able to learn these lists, to open them or whatever. So we'll be able to, maybe cast some of those spells. Anyway, so we're spending some extra time doing that. Also, every day, Wes is doing eye-hand coordination exercises. He's trying to increase his dexterity. Okay, so we kit all up, and so Wes is all armored up and on his horse, and we're heading south towards the bridge. This bridge is unique. It's massive. It's much bigger than what it needs to be for what it's doing here. On the north side, these two stone pillars, and same on the south side. On the north side, there's a carved relief of pseudo-dragons, rampant, facing each other. On the far side, the two stone reliefs are imps, face each other. So this bridge is ancient. It's been here. It predates the moat house. As far as everybody knows, it's always been here. There is evidence of an actual stone paved road on both sides of the bridge. Obviously, the rest of it, the road is not that way, because the road from Hamlet to Kirk is a nice dirt road. The road from here where we are south is not a nice dirt road. It's a nasty dirt road. We also noticed there's a sign here marking this bridge as a bridge of monster summoning. If you watch the live play, I discussed with Raymond's player some stuff about that. Okay, so it's getting late, so we camp on the north side, our side of the bridge. Next morning, break camp, head south, as Alexander, thinking this is all his superstition, just runs across the bridge. I was running because he was scared. But anyway, we cross the bridge, being very cautious, looking for something as we get to the other side. Is some kind of monster going to pop up and attack us? Nothing does. However, Raymond says that he felt something, disturbance in the force kind of thing, when he got to the other side. So Wes is really suspicious. Anyway, as we're traveling on, Alexander notices something floating up high in the sky. Yeah, hey guys, what's that? So we can take a look, and can't really tell, but we keep an eye on it. And as we travel, we can tell this thing's got to be way up high, which means it's got to be big. And then Raymond is looking at it. He's thinking it looks like a boat. There are ropes hanging down from it. There's like a prow and a stern and a mast up there. We can't really rule floating boat out, but I've never heard of such a thing. But we want to keep an eye on it. And as we travel south, goblins attack. I didn't take a lot of notes on the combat. A couple of key things. Raymond got slashes, special attacks on 2 of them, and he is using the steel broadsword that we found at the moat house, and his first one maxed out 884. So that was 9 and 9, 18 plus 4 is 22 plus 1, 23 points of damage to the goblin's chest. Slack! Down he went. When the goblins attacked, 2 of them went up to Alexander. One of them got him good on the arm, and he went into shock and fell to the ground. So Raymond goes ahead and spends that first round healing him. 2 goblins come towards me. I'm trying to rear up my horse in order to get my horse's damage bonus for the lance. Otherwise, it's just D10 plus 1, which is still better than my D6 plus 2. So I tried doing that. I don't make my riding roll for the rear, but I still get my lance attack, which was successful. But I did like 3 points of damage to the goblin's chest. Nothing. I see what happened over with the other group, because I'm actually a little south of them. Only 1 goblin is on me. I'm a horse with I'm a 2-hex horse, so they can't really engage me. So I can just turn, and we do a charge attack on goblin number 5. He didn't have any weapons out. He's got the rope, that kind of thing. He's trying to tie up Alexander. When Raymond heals him, Alexander does a jump up and attack one of the goblins, pull out his grapple one of the goblins, pull out his dagger. He got hold of the shield. He does a dagger attack. I think he actually got an impale. He did really good damage to that one. Raymond, who's behind him, then turns to another one and attacks. End up doing a... I don't think he did slash that time, but ended up doing some damage to that one. I do the charge attack with the lance on Goblin number 5. Again, minimal sorts of damage. It was enough to take the Goblin out. Ride through, turn, come back, do another charge attack to another one. Raymond turns and attacks one from, not the rear, but back side. I miss this Goblin, so I go and turn and come back. That's the one where Raymond slashes Goblin number, I guess, 4, whatever it was, and takes him down. And then I do a charge attack, and I'm able to do enough damage to the last Goblin to put it down. So at first we thought, after Alexander went down, we thought, oh, we're dead. We are dead. But after Raymond slashes and me actually getting to use my horse, yeah, 2 thumbs up. It was a good combat. Oh, and just for a comment, when I'm armored up like this, I cannot cast magic. The modifier for casting magic is so high that I have like a 4% chance of casting my Spirit Mastery list. So, yeah. When we're out on the road, I'm not planning on using magic. That's why I armored up, hoping to be able to use the lance, that kind of thing. So, that's Wes's intent. Well, anyway, we searched the Goblin's bodies. Goblin number 5, again, had a piece of fabric with a symbol on it and something in Dark Tongue. There's a little discussion about the difference between Dark Tongue and Black Speech. So, and nothing we recognize. There's 14 silver we gather up. We do notice that their clothing is fairly newish. You know, it's not regular Goblin clothing. You know, the bits of linen and wool have been stitched together. You know, stuff, you know, good stuff, like would have come from Telgar. So I'm thinking they probably took the clothing from the people that were in this caravan and used it to make their own clothes, kind of thing. We search around. We do find the blind that they were hiding in. Raymond finds a track heading east towards the river, so we go that way. We do find a ford there. We cross the ford on the far side. I noticed some smoke coming up out of the hills, like there's a Goblin camp over there. So there's a discussion on, excuse me, a discussion on should we investigate the camp now, or do we continue south to where the actual wagons were attacking? Okay, that's what we really went to go find, so let's go find the wagon. So we go back, but we take the bodies of the Goblins, we dump them in the river to dispose of them. And we try to mess up the area where the attack happened so it doesn't look like, yeah, the Goblins that we sent out here that are missing were killed here on the road. So we head south, make camp off the road to the west. It's forested there. Alexander makes a kind of lean-to thing to disrupt the smoke through the fire and block light and that kind of thing. While Alexander's on watch, he hears some movement, something large in the forest, wakes us up. We're all listening. What do we hear? What do we hear? And we can hear flying on trees and that kind of thing. And I can hear this sort of deep-throated chirping sound. So metagaming, yeah, it's an owl bear, but the players don't know that. But we kind of figure it's probably a bear at first. And do we really want to mess with a bear in the dark at night? Let's not mess with that. So we're just listening for it. What does it do? It ends up going off. Okay, good to go. Next morning, we clean up camp, head back to the road, head south to the wreckage. We find it, so we fan out and then cross the road. We're looking for the blind, right? We don't find anything, but we end up actually getting to the river. And once we get to the river's edge, Alexander says, hey, there's a ford here. So we cross the ford, get to the other side, and Raymond thinks he sees a trail heading towards the north, and Alexander agrees with him. So we follow that trail. It follows the river north for a couple miles, and then it turns northeast in the hills. So at this point, we're trying to get cautious. Trying to be quiet, slowing down, that kind of thing. Raymond decides at that point to go scan this, scan this guy. Hey, is the boat still up there? And yeah, it is. And he's looking and goes, I could tell that thing's got mass, and the rear one is down. I can't see anything else. All I see is the clouds. So continue on this path. We eventually come up over a rise that drops off steeply, and we can see the mountains off to the east. And it's getting towards evening, so the hills are creating a shadow that's being cast on the mountain. And Alexander can see within that shadow on the mountains lights, a trail of lights, heading down towards an encampment at the end of one of the tributaries from the river. Raymond looks and goes, guys, it looks like about the size you'd have for a small army. We'll say, okay, we got to get back to Hamlet. So we head back where we came, looking for a camping spot on the west. And make a camping spot, we find a dell, a gully kind of thing. Set up camp, make a little blind thing. On my watch, I hear movement coming down the trail. More than 6 folks, probably less than 15. And it's marching. So I wake everybody else up. I've got no stethoscope, so I'm just kind of sitting here listening. Alexander sneaks out to go peek and see what's going on, and he thinks they're orcs, all armored up. They got pole arms and stuff. Then he sees someone that looks like he's sitting on a platform that's hovering in the air, and it's floating on by with these orcs. The rest of the night goes by quietly. Next morning, we break camp. Instead of following the trail down, though, we just cut cross country towards the river. And when we get there, Raymond's looking and goes, "You guys, I think we're just south of the ford, south of that other ford." So we head north, and sure enough, we find the ford. We cross it, reach the river, and head towards Hamlet. A day and a half later, we get to Hamlet. We go straight to the tower to meet with Rufus. At the mention of the camp, he calls for Burns. We talk about the trail of lights from the encampment. That piques Burns' interest, and a bunch of verbiage between them and us. Okay, those mountains have not been occupied by orcs, have long been occupied by orcs and such. But normally, something must have changed to, make them start moving. Yeah, some sort of leader must have taken control of the tribes. At the mention of the guy floating by, Burns starts to interrogate Alexander and asks him, "Did you hear anything?" And he doesn't remember having heard anything. And then at that point, I remember, hey, we got the symbol off the goblins. And so Rufus and Burns are having this discussion on the side about, it's not possible. Not possible, huh? So we ask him, what does this mean? And they tell us about, Fork had 2 main lieutenants, Leeks and Evic. And I'm positive that Leeks and Evic were mentioned when we were discussing things at the university with my mentor. I'll need to check my notes. And Rufus says, I have to go to Telgar. You should prepare. Alexander then asks, hey, about these flying boats, and neither of them know anything about that. Raymond does explain what he saw. More discussion that clearly someone has been organizing the Orcish tribes. Runners need to be sent to Kirk. Burns needs to talk with his order in Telgar. Rufus says, hey, I want you guys to go to Kirk and tell him what's been going on. And Burns kind of mentions, this could be connected to the disappearances. That also needs to be investigated. And that's where Rufus kind of mentions to us again, because we heard this before, about the mission several months ago to go east, past the moat house, to investigate troubling things over there. The priest from the church was involved with that. He's been missing for 2 weeks when we first got here. There's this rise of the cult that we discovered. This previous party hasn't been heard from. So there's a handful of things to investigate. The priest was interested in finding out about a shrine in the old keep that the moat house sits on. But they got word back, and there was nothing of interest in the moat house, and they were going to continue on to Minot. Rufus was suspicious of that note. He thinks it could have been a forgery. It wasn't really that clear. So Kirk needs to be informed. The cult needs to be investigated. Investigating the moat house, looking for that drawing in the old keep underneath the moat house that the priest was interested in, may be a good starting point. Raymond asks, hey, do you have folks that can go to Kirk? And yeah, they do. And so we think that our best use is to go and investigate the moat house. They agree. Burns says, it's settled. I must prepare and go to Telgar. So we head back to the inn and the church, gather up provisions, get all set up, make arrangements for my horse, because I can't take my horse out to the swamp. Something will happen. And then we narrate a piece, because our previous player who didn't show for this session because Easter egg had guests, we'll be able to make it for our next one. And it looks like one of our previous players will be able to come back and start playing with us again. So we narrate, okay, we're going to go to that camping spot outside the swamp. They came with us. The night we need to spend on the way, we can see it out in the bay again, flashes of light and the crash of thunder. There's some kind of war thing going on. We have not heard anything in Hamlet about anything happening, like wars or combat between kingdoms, or some kind of massive piracy or something going on. But something's happening. So our next session will begin with us waking up in the camp outside the swamp on Tal, which is the 9th day of the 3rd week of Zar, which is the 5th month. Happy gaming.